do one more question? Is there one that's just on somebody's heart that is there? We have lots more questions and that's what I like about this, and that's why we'll continue to do this. You got one?
I don't know that I really have time to answer the specific question. However, I think it's a good question for us all to think about in a broader sense. They say, one of my friends is a Jehovah's Witness. How do I bring up the topic of their salvation without offending that person? Whenever you're dealing with someone of a different belief, especially one that's close to Christianity, they say they follow Jesus. If you look in a Jehovah's Witness's Bible, there's certain verses that they've actually translated different and rewritten, like in John chapter 1, where it talks about in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And we point at that and say, see, that's saying that Jesus is God. They've reworded that, and so they say, no, that's not what it's really talking about. And so there are specific issues to get into, to be able to study, so you can just bring up a question. And that's how I would say, regardless of if it's Jehovah's Witness or if it's, if you have a Muslim friend or an atheist friend or whoever it is, ask questions. Don't just go after them to, here's what you're supposed to believe it. Actually, genuinely say, well, tell me about what you do believe. And, because it's a person. In the same way I said that as we sit up here, we want to realize and remember that there's real people behind these questions. As you engage a friend on the topic of beliefs, they have some beliefs that go deep the same way yours do. And so ask questions. Just find out, hey, what is it you do believe? And then once you've got that, you've got some common ground, do some research and say, okay, well, what is it that maybe possibly where the disconnect is? I heard someone who made a really good statement. They said that whenever they're talking or witnessing to someone, they're not trying to close the deal every time. They're not trying to lead someone to pray the sinner's prayer every time. What they want to do is they just want to put a stone in their shoe, is what they called it. They just want to just give them an idea, something to chew on, something to think about that's going to just kind of maybe sit with them and just kind of, gnaw at them a little bit give them something to think about. And so maybe as you're dealing with friends of a different religion or different faith, then what you would do is just, instead of trying to argue with them, debate with them, convince them, honestly, sincerely, genuinely engage in the conversation with them, but just seek to give them a little something to chew on, just a little something to think about.
I would also add to that, what is your motive behind that? Is your motive to prove them wrong? Or is your motive to love them through it? And that's going to be determined upon your relationship. Now, what's one thing I want all you guys to remember is that in order for us to make a change in the world has to see it in us, they have to feel it in us, they have to hear it in us, and that happens over time, okay? So relationships are where it's all at. People are looking for authentic people, and the only way that a person knows if you're authentic or not is that you practice that over and over and over. So you will show love, you will show grace, you will show truth, and as this person gets to know you, as you become more of a friend to them, as you have more of a relationship with them, then you're going to build upon that so that you can answer some of these questions that aren't going to be offensive towards their religion, but you're going to show it out of love, joy, out of all the fruits of the Spirit. So again, that's where it's at for me, is you've got to be genuine and authentic. You've got to follow Jesus. And I'll go back to what the scripture says. They will know you by the way that you treat them, by the way that you treat others, by the way that you show the importance of Christ in your life. The biggest command is to love God and to love others. And all of your answers are going to be, all the answers to the questions that you have are going to be generated in those two thoughts. Am I loving God, and am I loving people?